Okay, good. All right, everybody's read the article. Let me ask you this before we start. Is this article nonfiction or fiction?
Nonfiction.
Nonfiction. So what is nonfiction?
Something that's true.
Something that's true?
Or writing that is facts and true statements.
Okay, factual information, true statements. Okay, good. Anybody disagree with that? Or maybe have a different take on what nonfiction is? So we all agree that nonfiction is something that's true and based on fact, right?
Yes.
Okay, good. We read the article. I heard you guys share and reflect on kind of what you found as far as extreme absolute language after I gave you a couple examples. So share with me a couple of things, if you would, that you found in the article that you think either extreme or absolute. Kelly?
I don't know if it was absolute or extreme, but one of them was sweet habit is completely out of control,
Completely, and even out of control makes it state like that the person's just completely true. Okay, very good.
I think that might be a little extreme.
Okay, I agree with you. Okay, what else? Chloe?
I found I've always been aware of the dangers of sugar.
Okay, always.
Yeah, and then
So that maybe indicated from birth that she knew that she was always a danger. Okay, very good. A couple more. Yeah, Chicky?
I found it says, it seems that our desire to load up with sugar regularly may not be cheeky, reward, count energy, boost we think it is.
Okay, so maybe it's fooling us in regards to what we really think it is?
Yeah.
Okay, very nice. Okay. All right, there's some good examples. Big thing about this is, as you read this, you said that nonfiction is true or based on facts, right? So, based on what Kelvin said and what Chloe and Chucky said, do you find that to be factual information?
Seems a little bit exaggerated.
Okay, it's exaggeration or absolutes, or is it always true statements?
No.
But we agree this is a nonfiction article, correct?
It can be proven.
Okay, in knowing that then, and you're right, it is based on things that are true. That's what we talked about a little bit, nonfiction is true for the most part. Why do you think the author of this article, who's writing on the dangers of sugar, why did the author choose this particular language? Whether it's the ones we stated with Chloe, Kelvin, Chucky, or the ones you have yourself. Why did they choose this language?
Either consciously or unconsciously, our brain triggers and it kind of appeals to our mind when we listen to it. It makes it more, it kind of plants it in our brain easier
Okay, so you think that's the intent of the author, to do that to you?
to appeal to the reader's mind, yeah.
Okay, and what do you think he or she's trying to get across?
That large quantities of sugar is bad and that the amount of sugar that is put into most of the foods nowadays is not healthy.
Okay, let's go with the word bad, that's good. Okay, Chloe, why did they choose this language?
I think the author's trying to be like persuasive, I guess, and using those words to make it where it's more like enhanced and the reader would like listen and catch on to what they're trying to say.
Okay, very good. Both those things. It's talking about the dangers of sugar. Was there anything in the article that talked about the benefits of sugar? No, it's all about the dangers. So the persuasion comes from the absolute extreme language. Right?
They put if you notice when you're reading through the article, they take multiple examples of people who are saying sugar is bad. And I think I saw one line of examples of a doctor who said that a little bit might be good.
Okay.
Might be no different.
Maybe that offsets a balance. You have some balance right in the article. But the language, again, you feel is also extreme for persuasion. Okay. So those words in that language you chose, in your opinion, yes or no, that they were trying to persuade you against the intake of large amounts of sugar? Right? Okay, good. Now, in knowing that, what we said earlier about nonfiction, is this stuff true? She said it's true, and that's what we learned, that nonfiction is true, or based on fact. Is extreme or absolute language, does that take it past the point of nonfiction?
No.
It's still nonfiction. Is it 100% true?
It's exaggerated, but if it's factual, then it's true. It's just that they try to appeal to you like yellow journalism.
Okay. So they're in line, they line the trick, right? The fact it's not lies, so to speak. She's picked language that makes you think the exaggerated portion. In reading this way, did you find anything different once I explained to you what I was wanting to do with this article, outside the information, looking for that language? Did you find yourself reading or doing anything differently once you put that mindset to work?
Yes.
Okay. What did you do a little bit differently?
I actually paid attention to the information a little bit closer to see how exaggerated it was.
Okay, I like the word actually, you actually paid attention, that's good. Just good. But maybe you slow down a little bit to read the
Yeah.
information, look at those particular things. Last question here, do you think in reading, and this is just one small thing here for a few minutes here, but in reading nonfiction, do you think it makes a difference in how you read it that way, paying attention to that type of language?
It does, yeah, because your brain will catch up on most of the words easier. If you're kind of just skimming through it, you're not going to get as much detailed information from it. When you start reading it, you start getting the point clearer.
Okay, by slowing down, you get a clearer point.
Yeah.
In reading nonfiction, you think it's important also to always be analyzing or questioning what the intent of the author is?
Yes.
Yes. Can somebody tell me why?
Could you ask that question again? I couldn't quite process all that.
Do you find it's important after doing this that maybe we should be thinking, it's important to be thinking on the intent of the author, knowing that language can persuade or being used in a persuasive manner? Should you always be reading that way in nonfiction to see the intent of the author?
Absolutely.
We said yes, and so why?
It's,
Let me put it this way, what's the dangers of not reading that way? Are there any dangers in
you
reading
could
it?
fall susceptible to bias.
Okay, that's the word I'm looking for. You could fall susceptible, but you could be susceptible or fall to bias. And when somebody writes, there's bias in everything, we agree, right? There's bias in everything. If I write something or I speak to you, there's a bias there, or what I think about it. But you have to always be listening to me with the intent of what my bias is. The same thing I would with you. And in reading, it's very in particular, when you read nonfiction, to know that there are some biases and pay attention to those biases so they don't lead you astray, or that you're cognitively always thinking about what the intent really is.